your host, the ConKaiserdor, and old school Avis Hathaway. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your job. Pin me, pay me, do your
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour right here on Blog Talk Radio. I am the ConKaiserdor, and alongside me is old school Avis Hathaway, and we have a amazing pre-Super Bowl show lined up for everybody here today. In just a little bit, we will be joined by the former WCW superstar, Alex Wright. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be a fantastic show. As we've been looking forward to having Alex on, we tried having him on late last year, and actually Alex got injured in a training session over at his wrestling school. But everything is good. We are good to go, and we're very excited to have Alex on, as he will be live via satellite from Germany. So it is just a little after 8 p.m. in Germany right now and 2 p.m. here on the East Coast. Very excited to have Alex on. He will be joining us in just a little bit here. Old school Avis Hathaway. Bud, what's going on there today?
Oh, it's a lovely day. I'm on location here in Denver, Colorado. We have blizzard this weekend, which is quite a change from the South Florida weather I'm used to, but taking it in stride. Going to be heading back to South Florida this evening, so looking forward to talking to Alex right before I start my journey.
Very cool, guy. Very cool. Yeah, you're over in Denver, Colorado. John Denver country, huh?
That's what you like to think. I'm not a big John Denver fan, so I don't look at it that way.
Listen, guy, I'm not going to sing Rocky Mountain High on the air, but I wish I had a soundbite to play for you.
I'm pretty glad you don't.
Yep. So it's going to be a great show, though, guy. Going to be a great show. Really looking forward to having Alex come on. Got a lot of great questions to ask. And if you're a fan of WCW, this is certainly an interview you don't want to miss. It's been a while since Alex has done a interview for U.S. fans. So this is kind of an exclusive, guy.
It really is. And, Alex Wright's a guy that, he's kind of done everything there is to do in the business. He was a big star in WCW for quite a while, won all different titles there. He was, prominently featured on WCW TV for a long time, and, we'll get into a little bit what he's been doing lately. He's running a promotion in Germany right now, which is very cool, and, it'll be really interesting to talk to him.
Right. He runs New European Championship Wrestling in Germany. He also has a wrestling school called The Right Stuff. So he's been pretty busy since he's been away from, the U.S., so we have a lot of stuff to get into with him, so we're very excited about that. And got a lot of other great shows coming up, Guy. A lot of things in the works as well, but our next big show is February 12th as one of the most respected men on the indie scene in Florida. Will be coming on the show, the marquee Bruce Santee. Very excited to have him on as a very good wrestler, very well respected from a lot of the guys in the locker room, so we're very excited to have him on. And then February 19th, we're going to be off that week, and then we'll be back with vengeance on the 26th, as we're going to have Russian Radio Roulette with Red Devil Fight Team.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Bruce Santee, just touching on that, a lot of people, I'm sure they're fans of the NWA Ring Warriors are familiar with him. He's going to be taking on the Giant Titan for the Grand Championship of NWA Ring Warriors on coming up WrestleMania weekend, which should be a lot of fun. And then, as you mentioned, Russian Radio Roulette with the Red Devil Fight Team. I mean, how many chances do you have to get a pro wrestling tag team drunk live right on the air?
Right. Russian Radio Roulette is played. Every caller into the show, the Red Devil Fight Team must take a shot of vodka. They got a match coming up for NWA Ring Warriors. It will be actually working against the NWA Tag Team Champions, Dark City Fight Club, and the former WWE tag team champions as well, the Headbangers. That's going to be a great match.
Yeah, that should be a lot of fun, and I know a lot of our listeners are fans of Ring Warriors and are going to be there. I will be there. You will actually be in town for that as well, and that's going to be a fun match. It's going to be a great match, so hopefully we get a lot of people calling in, take them off their game a little bit, and see how many shots of vodka we can put down their throats.
Right, and we even had Snake Master on, and Snake Master, Buddha Dean, was saying, it's quite possible after those shots of vodka, you could see Red Devil Fight Team joining his Army of Darkness. Well,
maybe you get them drunk enough, you never know what'll happen.
You never know what'll happen, guy. You never know. Also got some other great stuff coming up here in the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, as we'll also have the Farewell to the Ring address, Maximum Capacity. Very well-known wrestler out of Florida, probably the largest athlete ever to compete in a wrestling ring, Maximum Capacity. He has officially retired from wrestling. Unfortunately, he's been diagnosed with cancer. We do wish him the best, hopefully in a speedy recovery there for him. Hopefully he can recover from that there, as they've made big headway with cancer these days, guy. So hopefully he'll still be around here with us as we look forward to having him on March 18th for his Farewell to the Ring address. And as you know, with Max Cat, man, you never know what to expect with him.
No, he's one that, there's no filter on, so you definitely want to tune in for that one because you never know what you're going to hear. We've had him on once before. He's a fun guy. He's also joined us when Snake Master and Beast were on. He called in to chat for a few minutes. He's definitely a funny guy, and that should be a lot of fun.
Certainly should. We're going to take just a quick break here, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to return with the former WCW superstar Alex Wright right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. Let's welcome to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, all the way live from Germany. We have Alex Wright. Alex, thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
We know we tried getting you late last year, and it's a pleasure to have you on now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was looking forward to talking to you since it didn't happen the last time I received a concussion.
Oh, I know. You said you received a concussion during a training class.
Yes. Yeah, I always give training on the weekends, and right shortly before our planned scheduled interview, I got a bad bump.
Glad you're doing okay now. We have you on because it's been a while since you've been live speaking to U.S. fans, and it's been almost 11 years since WCW folded, and American fans have seen you compete. Do you miss working in the States?
Oh, yeah, of course. I miss the States very much, and especially the fans. I mean, like you said, I was with WCW, and I've wrestled for WCW about 9 years, and I really enjoyed working in the States.
What are some of your most fond memories working for WCW?
Well, I guess my first match for WCW in Germany, when I got my break. Then, of course, all the matches with Ric Flair, Arn Anderson, guys like Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, from everybody who I could learn and who was a legend in my eyes.
Very cool, very cool. Now, you mentioned Eddie Guerrero, and you've worked a real who's who of talent: Chris Jericho, Steve Austin, Triple H, to name a few on a very, very long list. Looking back on your career, do you have any favorite matches?
Well, I had so many matches, it's really hard to point out one match, I liked working, like I said before, with guys like Chris Jericho, like Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, which wrestled my style, and every time I stepped in the ring with them, I know I got to learn something, or I had fun, or it was a good match. So those are very memorable matches, people like Ric Flair and Arn Anderson I looked up to, that was very good too. And of course my title matches, but especially picking out some, there's so many, I don't want to be unfair to anybody.
Right. No, absolutely. Now, having so many masters, there's so many guys. You've also, you competed as a single wrestler as well as a tag team wrestler as well. Did you enjoy competing more in singles or in tag team?
No, I definitely liked singles wrestling better. I didn't like tag match because then I had to share my in-ring time. I love wrestling, so every minute in the ring is, it's good. So I rather wanted to do my own matches.
Right. And you spent some time working in Japan before you got into WCW. What specifically did you learn in Japan, and what were some of the differences between the Japanese style and maybe the style in Germany?
The style in Germany and the Japanese style is pretty similar. It's very focused on the wrestling and not that much on the entertainment. It's very tough in Japan. They're very good, great workers and mat wrestlers and high flyers. So it's really tough. But not saying it's just a little bit different. They have a different mentality. They have this. I don't know. They're like kamikaze style. They don't really care. They kick the shit out of you if you don't fight back. And you have to really be tough to get the respect over there, and that's what I learned. I mean, I was only 21 when I was in Japan, and I met Steen and Annie over there, so that was very good. And I mean, every country you wrestle, you learn something new, and I was very young, so I took everything I could.
Going back to WCW, when you wrestled as Alex Wright, you were kind of the fun-loving guy. You liked to dance and were a big crowd favorite. After, you were off TV for a little bit, you returned with the character Berlin, which is a little bit more dark and sinister. How much creatively did you have control over that character? Why do you think it was semi-short-lived?
Well, it's just one thing, the backstage politics. I mean, when the Berlin character debuted, it was right in the change from Eric Bischoff to Vince Russo, and that's it. I mean, that gimmick has had a lot of potentials,
I thought so too. Yeah.
I mean, even on YouTube, when you look on the videos of Berlin, you see how many clicks there still are. And everybody I talked to, they really enjoyed that gimmick. I mean, it had really a lot of potential, and I wanted to come away from that pretty boy image. But before I became Berlin, I actually was Alex Wright as a bad Alex Wright. Right.
You brought up something interesting I wanted to touch on. You talked about it was right around the transition from Eric Bischoff to Vince Russo doing the writing. Can you talk a little bit about what that transition was like for a lot of the guys in the back, especially guys like yourself that were, kind of having their own character and really kind of having success with it, and then you had a guy like Vince Russo came in, and at least to the viewer, it seems like a lot changed. Is that how you guys kind of felt in the back?
Well, it was the shits for us in the back. Morale was down. Nobody knew in what direction the company goes. Nobody knew in what stories or what's planned for him, and actually nothing was set anymore. I mean, it was a really bad time. Not a very memorable time. I mean, you didn't know who's your boss, who has to say so. You couldn't trust anybody. I really don't miss that time.
Yeah, you're not the first person we've heard that from, and it's kind of interesting because when Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara came over to WCW, I think there was a lot of high hopes. I don't know about at least for you guys in the back, but on the outside looking in, everybody thought Vince Russo was going to bring a whole lot of new energy to WCW, and it never really seemed to pan out the way that everybody thought it was going to.
Well, in my opinion, what those two guys, what was a mistake, they tried to give the WCW fan base WWE storylines, and WCW had a different fan base than WWE. It was
very true,
totally different, and he tried to bring that product to our fans, and that didn't work out.
When WWE purchased WCW in 2001, what was going through your head, and can you describe the feeling throughout the locker room?
Well, like I said, nobody knew what happens to our jobs and if we're still under contract. I mean, I had a good contract with Time Warner, so I wasn't that afraid. I just set out my contract. But a lot of guys didn't have that kind of contract, and they lost their jobs or they got bought out from WWE. But the thing is, since WWE bought WCW and the wrestlers, WWE had their own roster, and coming in an established roster, that's not really fun, because you have to get your standing again and your spot. You find your spot, and it's a lot of backstage bullshit was going on in the first couple months then. And I actually was happy not to be there in WWE.
Well, I was actually going to touch on that because we've talked to a few guys. One of them, notably Lash LaRue, who kind of went through the same thing where when WWE bought it out, they were kind of left in flux. And he had talked about himself, and I know you mentioned some other guys that were put under WWE contract. They were told they were going to be used in XYZ capacity, and then they just kind of kept waiting and kept waiting and kept waiting, and they never really got their chance to be used. I mean, you said you were kind of happy to not be there, but did you feel that you had a lot to offer WWE and you just weren't given the opportunity, or was it more of something that you really didn't want any part of?
Oh, no. Actually, I got after it all happens, after the transition, I got a half year after that or so, I got 2 offers to go to them, but I did not want to go there because I was so burned out from WCW, being there straight for almost 9 years, being almost every show, doing all the house shows and everything. My body needed a break, and mentally I needed a break also. And when I step in the ring, I want to give my best, and I want to satisfy the spectators, the fans, and I want to satisfy, of course, the promoter, and I want to satisfy myself. And I knew I couldn't do that, so I thankful said no.
I mean, you were a Triple Crown champion. You held the TV title, the Cruiserweight title, and the tag team titles with Disco. Did you feel you never got a fair shake at getting a heavyweight title, or was that something you felt really wasn't in the plans for you?
Maybe. Well, actually, no. I was very thankful for my spot. I mean, of course, everybody wants to be on the top, and I would have tried my best. But I looking back, I think at that point of my life, I wouldn't be ready to carry that heavyweight belt. Maybe I would be ready now because I have much more life experience. But at that moment, I mean, TV title and all the titles, those are good, but this really prestigious belt from WCW, I would say that's okay. I had my other titles, and I had a great career in my eyes. I lived my dream. I wrestled all over the world. I wrestled many legends. I made good money. I made good money at that time, and what else could I ask for? I mean, I have to be thankful for them that they give me the chance to wrestle for them.
No, I mean, you bring up a good point, but a guy like yourself, I know you had a very large fan base. Myself included. I know ConKaiserdor was a big fan of yours, and you always got a good reaction from the crowd. No, you're welcome. I mean, it's a pleasure to talk to you because we honestly were big fans of yours. You always got a great reaction from the crowd. You seem to be very over with the crowd, and it just kind of it always was curious to me sometimes with WCW. You'd see the same guys on top or in the top spot over and over again. And a lot of guys almost never get the breakthrough, even like guys like Eddie Guerrero just never get the breakthrough.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot of backstage politics, of course. It would have been much more nicer for me if they would have featured me more, because I know I could have lived up to a certain level, But if you always want to be on the top, you never be happy, And I love that sport, and I just love the sport. I always try to keep the sport and the business separated, because if you start mixing it, you're going to lose your love for the sport. And I always try to tell me, okay, I mean, I may be better than that guy, and I could do this better or whatever. I worked harder, and I'm longer in the company and stuff like all that. But then I always try to do a cut and say, well, but I'm still have to be thankful that I'm in that spot, being in this company, doing, traveling the world, wrestle all those great guys, and that's the important thing, having good matches, entertain the crowd and stuff like that,
Yeah, absolutely, and I thought you really did a really great job at playing to the crowd, especially with the dancing and stuff like that. Is that something that you look back on and feel that side of your character was more of more like a comedy type gimmick, or did you feel that was that the real Alex Wright coming out?
Oh my God, no, no, that's just management. My dad I'm a second generation wrestler, actually a third generation, because my uncle also wrestled international. My dad wrestled for 26 years, Steve Wright, internationally, and I was brought up the old school way, and I like the athleticism, the sport, wrestling, mat wrestling, high flying, and I wasn't actually that entertaining guy. It had the dancing had two sides for me. One side it was good because the people liked it. It was entertaining, and that's very important in the sport also, And the other thing was, before the people knew my name, they knew there's a guy who's dancing, So right. Everybody memorized much easier. But on the other hand, was it very hard for me that the hardcore fans looked past the dancing and looked at my wrestling abilities. So it was always, on one side it was good, and on one side it was bad. Because like I said, I'm old school more. But the dancing was actually the idea of the management. I didn't really like that.
And I think when you started to turn heel, before the Berlin character came into fruition, and you really played that anti-American character, which a lot of other guys have played over the years. What was it like playing to the crowd to that extent?
Well, it was very hard because actually I love America, I love living there, and I love the fans. But that was my job, and one part of that job is entertaining the people. And if I got them to those crowd reactions, then I did my job the right way. So I did my best. Wrestling wouldn't be nice if there's just people who are your fan favorites. You have to hate people also. So if I do something, I want to do it the right way.
Did you enjoy playing the heel character more as Alex Wright, or did you prefer it more as Berlin?
Actually, both. Both. I just like being heel. Heel is much more fun.
Right.
Right. All the hands and stuff like that, and it's much easier for me as a foreigner,
Exactly. Pretty much as a foreigner, you don't have to do much to kind of be that anti-American character.
Exactly.
Now, you've worked with a lot of guys in WCW, and you've also worked you also spent some time in the WCW power plant there. Were there any guys that you saw breaking in that you felt never really got a shot and kind of wound up leaving the company?
Yeah, there were several. I really can't remember those names, but I know there were a lot of talent in the school. But, the roster, WCW office had so many spots on their live shows, and when it's full, the card, then it's full, You have to have a little bit luck. Especially
these days, there's not much. There's WWE in the States, and then there's TNA and maybe a third Ring of Honor. There really isn't too much that's on national TV these days, and but yeah, it's kind of the same thing, and especially now, it's probably a lot more challenging for guys to kind of get their break into the business. Do you find that folks that are training in Germany, are their dreams set on becoming a WWE star, or do they look at being more of a popular name in Germany or in Europe? No,
I think that everybody who wants to be a wrestler or is in a training school all over the world wants to be a WWE wrestler someday, because WWE is number one in the world, and number one in the world means you get a big paycheck if you're on the roster. So everybody wants to be there, which is not necessarily a good choice, because I always tell my students, your goal doesn't have to be a WWE wrestler at the first. Your goal has to be a wrestler, and then maybe you get the chance to wrestle for WWE if you're a very good wrestler, But most of the people want to, wrestle for WWE.
My co-host ConKaiserdor, he brought up something that I just thought of. I wanted to touch on with you real quick. He mentioned TNA wrestling here in the States. Have you followed TNA at all? And if so, I'm just kind of curious because it's Vince Russo writing it, and to the average fan in the outset that was around for the end of WCW, it kind of just seems like they're repeating history. It's almost the exact same thing as WCW was. Have you followed that at all?
You just said it yourself. It reminds me on WCW. And if they're not cautious, it will end up like WCW. For a couple of years back, the TNA had really great talent, young talent, and then they started bringing in all those established big names, which of course they have big names, but someday the older guys have to pass that sport to the younger guys so the sport can live on, and I don't think that happens in TNA. Yeah, I really don't watch TNA that often.
That occurred to me with how you were talking about when Vince Russo took over. And, it seems on the outside, to the average fan, it seems that way. So I could only imagine what it would seem like for guys that have really worked.
It's not what you said, exactly. It seems the same to me.
We are live tonight with the former WCW superstar Alex Wright, right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. We're going to take just a quick break here, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have plenty more to get to right here with Alex Wright on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio.
This is the reigning dedication of Lash LaRue, former WCW superstar, and you should do the job because I'm doing the job right here on the Do Your J.O.B. Job Wrestling Hour. With a little left bone, Rudy, let the good times roll.
Welcome back to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour right here on Blog Talk Radio. I'm the ConKaiserdor, and alongside with me is Old School Avis Hathaway. We are joined tonight by our very special guest live from Germany, Alex Wright. Alex, again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to be with us. We really do appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we've got some more to get to here. As you've had such a long career in the wrestling business, and now you've kind of moved into a training role with the Right Stuff Training School, as well as working and promoting New European Championship Wrestling. After you were working for WCW, you opened up the Right Stuff Wrestling School. What made you decide to pursue a training endeavor?
Well, my first dream was always to become a wrestler and follow in the footsteps of my father. After I achieved that, and the transition from WCW to WWE came, and I needed a break, I thought, well, I go back to Germany and pursue my second dream, which was to open a wrestling school and feature young new talent here in Germany. I want to make sure that the sport lives on in my home country. And after I found out there's a lot of great talent here, I opened in 2009. I founded NEW, New European Championship Wrestling. It's promoting right now. Last year in November, I opened the first wrestling hall in Germany. It's the NEW hotspot, and New European Championship Wrestling, which I'm the CEO, we are having monthly shows, so on a regular base, and we are building a pretty good fan base right now.
That's great. Do you find yourself bringing in some maybe friends of yours from the past, some bigger names to help generate a buzz for NECW?
Well, that actually would be the smart thing to do, but I don't have the money like a WWE or TNA, so I would say in the first couple of years probably not. I would be nice, but it's all about money. So if I get some of my older friends, I want to pay them good.
Right. Yeah, it seems like a lot of independent shows, they always seem to have, some, maybe one or two really big names that people kind of recognize, and then they usually really help to get their homegrown talent over. And how many guys are on your roster now?
About 20, 25.
Gotcha. And are you pursuing like a women's division too, or is it just a male roster?
Women's division is pretty hard to build here in Germany. There are not enough women who train that sport, So, and then you have to get women from all over the world, and it's all about calculation. You have to pay the flight and the hotel and all that stuff, and maybe down the road.
Yeah, I mean, you watch a lot of the WWE, TNA. There's usually not very many that can really compete. A lot of them seem like more models than actual wrestlers. So I can understand the challenge there with women, especially if there's not many in Germany who want to compete. Do you find that a lot of the trainees who come to your school, do they come in with experience already where they've tried to work on their own?
Well, my school is different to my promotion. I mean, in the promotion I have former students of mine and established wrestlers from all Europe, and in my school I have people there. They have some background knowledge, and I also have people they don't have any knowledge. So it's a school. I always try to focus what the students need, and one guy needs more training, the other guy not that much, and it's how do you say? I have a hard time talking English because I have not that much practice. Step by step, for every student. I have students from all over Europe. I mean, they travel every weekend to my place. Now they have the chance to train during the week also. I mean, the NEW Hotspot is the only individual designed wrestling hall there is. I mean, it's like you have to see it like in Orlando for TV tapings.
Your English, I want to say first off, is actually very good, so don't feel bad.
No, it's the shits right now. I know
that,
good. But if you never talk English the last year, then it's pretty hard to find into it again.
You're doing quite well. Is there anywhere American fans can catch any NECW, like online or DVDs, that sort of thing?
Sure. Our website is www.new-wrestling.de, and there's an English flag, and you just punch the English flag, or you go on our official YouTube channel. It's NEW1 Wrestling, and you find all matches and information and interviews on there. Right now, there's not that many in English, but we will have that in English also.
Be interested to check out.
And sure, and people who are interested in coming to my wrestling school, they just have to check out my site also. It's www.prowrestlingschool.de. There's also an English site on there.
Very cool, very cool. I got one other question. I wanted to ask, Ring of Honor, another promotion here in the States, I'm sure you're familiar with it. The fans at Ring of Honor, it seems a lot of shows have taken to chanting your name during matches because, like I said, you have a big fan base here in the States. I just want to ask if you were aware of that, and if so, what you think about that.
I heard about that, and I feel very honored of that. It kind of makes me miss the States even more. I want to come back. No, actually, I like Ring of Honor. I like the style, and I really appreciate that there's still fans out there who chant my name. That makes me very, very happy, and makes me feel like what I did in the 15 years ago, 10 years ago, it really was, it had a reason.
Yeah, and also, you've wrestled all over the map in your career, so there's a lot of wrestling fans. I mean, even casual fans who are familiar with you, especially during the heyday of WCW. Were there any towns that you really enjoyed working in, and were there any places you just dreaded having to put on a match in?
That's a tough question, isn't it? Actually, well, it depends which character I had at that moment. As heel, New York was good. As babyface, New York was hard for me. Same like Baltimore. As a heel, it's a fun place. As a babyface, you have a hard time. Other way around in Florida. As a babyface, you're doing very good, and as heel, you're heel. So actually, I enjoyed to wrestle anywhere. I always had very respectful fans, and treated me always good, So there's not okay. There's one thing I did not like. That was the pay-per-views in Sturgis. I really didn't like that.
What happened in Sturgis?
Well, it's just there's nothing to do. I mean, there's a few houses, and that's it. You couldn't do party, you couldn't drink a beer, really. It was just the shits, you know. Yeah, it was shit. I mean, really, it was bad.
Is Alex Wright a fan of American beer?
Oh, definitely. I lived there a long time. I mean, Ice House and all that stuff. Oh, God, I have to say probably different names now, right? I loved all that stuff, you know. Yeah, I did a lot of partying in that time, yeah. but not anymore, I'm told now.
Well, that actually is a good segue into our next question, because every guest that comes on usually gets asked this question specifically. Can you share with your fans and our listeners a memorable rib story from maybe the road or behind the curtain?
Which is for rated PG?
We are uncensored and
uncensored
like.
at 2 p.m. Are you sure?
Absolutely.
No, there's
internet radio.
Many stories. What was which story could I tell? Oh yeah, I remember my first road trip for WCW. I was traveling with Johnny B. Bad and one car, a rental car, and the other car was Marcus Alexander Bagwell and Sting. And at that time, I was like 18 years old, and I was very, very, you know, still quiet and actually shy, you know, being with those stars and one, you know, traveling around and stuff. And I remember driving with Mark on the road in city limits, and suddenly Sting and Marcus passed by and started throwing with eggs at our car. And suddenly, instantly there was a car chase and you know, tackling the cars, and I said, oh my God, those guys are crazy, and I really didn't know how to react. You know, that's very, you know, that's not very unusual. I never experienced stuff like that. You know, I know there wasn't a rip, but it was a very weird experience for a young guy like me.
Now, you, how far are you from the Autobahn?
How far? 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
What's it like driving on that?
Well, if you have the chance to drive fast, it's really fun. But nowadays there's so much traffic, it's really hard to drive full speed. I mean, well, I would say we drive about 80, 85 miles per hour. That's standard.
Nice.
I mean, sometimes you can drive like 110, 115, 120. Yeah.
How could you possibly be caught in traffic if people are going that fast?
Well, that's the reason we can't go that fast anymore, because of the traffic. You know, we don't have 6 lanes like in the States. We have, for autobahns, sometimes just 2 lanes. You know, and then we have a lot of trucks. So the right lane is blocked most of the time, and then it's just you know, not everybody wants to drive fast, and you know, it's really not that fun anymore.
Yeah, the speed limit here in Baltimore and most of the highways is about 55 miles per hour. It's pretty depressing hearing you can do 110 on the Autobahn.
That's okay.
Let me ask you this question, as obviously, you know, you train wrestlers now, and that's pretty much what you do these days overall. What advice would you give to a young wrestler?
Okay, well, a young wrestler should find a professional wrestling school with a professional trainer, which has long years of experience in that sport. Always listen to your trainer, be respectful. You have to love the sport, respect the sport, respect the fans, respect the established wrestlers, the veterans. Be always humble and try to learn every time you step in the ring. And always try to give your best. And then someday it will be, if you're lucky, you will get your break.
Sounds
and
good.
learn from the mistakes from other people also.
Sometimes a lot of young independent wrestlers who check out our show as well. We've had a lot of young guys on the show to kind of plug some upcoming events, things like that. So it's always cool to hear someone's perspective who has such a wealth of experience. So thank you for sharing that with everyone here today. And last general question that we have before we get into what we call word association, is there any chance that American fans will see Alex Wright back on U.S. soil?
Maybe. I mean, I never officially retired. You know, I just took a long, long break, and I still have the wrestling in my blood, and I still can go, and who knows, maybe. I got a lot of offers to go to the States and wrestle there. I really miss the States, so sure could be.
Wikipedia actually has on their website that you have retired from wrestling, so because you haven't retired.
No, I haven't. I mean, everybody can write on Wikipedia. It's internet, so you never should believe what you read on the internet. That's the word what I was looking for. Most of the stuff on the internet is true.
Yeah, especially Wikipedia. That people can update that however they see fit. So, Our next segment, this is something we like to do with a lot of our guests, and basically we just do word association. We're just going to throw a name or something out there, and just the first thing that pops into your mind when we say that.
Okay.
One would be the NWO.
Great storyline.
All right, The Wall.
Great talent, and sad, very sad.
Boogie Nights.
Entertaining tag team.
WCW Power Plant.
Good school.
The next one I have for you is Dean Malenko.
Great wrestler and friend.
Someone that you worked in, I believe, which was his real first match there with you, your first real program in WCW with Triple H, better known as Jean-Paul Levesque in WCW.
That's true, yes. He great wrestler also. And boss of WWE now.
Brian Pillman.
Crazy wrestler. Crazy guy.
Ultimo Dragon.
Tough matches.
The Rise and Fall of WCW DVD.
I didn't see it.
Sting.
Great gimmick.
The original ECW.
Good promotion.
Eric Bischoff.
Smart businessman.
Vince McMahon.
Very smart businessman. The businessman.
Vince Russo.
Killed WCW.
I think a lot of people say that. Goldberg.
Intensity.
Ramstein.
Hardcore.
Here's one for you. David Hasselhoff.
Oh, my God. Popular in Germany 20 years ago.
I have a question about that, and I don't mean to get too far off topic, but why is that? Why is he very popular, or was once very popular in Germany?
Well, everybody as kid watched those TV series Knight Rider, and then suddenly he brought out a song, and actually wasn't a bad song at that time, and yeah, it was at the right time, I guess, and he had a pretty good hype at that moment, and he was very popular there. He was, good-looking American guy, German ladies love American guys. So that, 25 years ago, that was his time, but now he tries to do it over again here in Germany, and it doesn't work. Not really.
Do you, just out of curiosity, do you still watch WWE's product at all?
Sometimes, just to see some of my old colleagues or friends, but not on a regular basis because I don't have time. I have to plan our own shows every month. That's a pretty tough schedule, and also I give training. I have about 150 students now, so I'm pretty busy. I work 90 hours a week.
Sure. I mean, the only reason I ask is because they have a character now, Brodus Clay. He comes out and he does the whole dancing thing before, before his matches. I just wanted to know if you had seen that.
No, is he doing my dance? I come over and kick his ass.
It's not quite the same dance, but he comes out. He has dancers. He does a little funk dance for 5 minutes or so before his matches. It just it kind of made me think he is. So I wanted to ask.
Is he as good as me?
No, of course not.
No, okay, good. That's okay. I have to take a look at it.
They actually are using for Brodus Clay I'm not sure if you're going to recall, but it's the old entrance music for Ernest the Cat Miller. I
remember.
The Call Your Mama deal, and
yeah. That's a good music entrance.
Yeah, it clicks. It definitely seems like it's going well for Brodus Clay, and he's a very young guy, big guy. He kind of reminds me of not sure if you're familiar with Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, but the King Hippo character.
Mm-hmm. He will have a bright future if he's professional in the back and everything, and because he doesn't look that stereotype looking like short trunks, bodybuilding, he has a different look to him. Oh, yeah,
and that's one of the coolest parts, and that's probably sometimes why I think he's been getting over as well as he has been. He's different. He's got a bigger build. He's not really in great shape, but he's just a really big dude.
Exactly. That's what's missing right now, in my opinion, in the WWE product. They're all looking a little bit the same,
Right.
It's just different. I mean, 15 years ago and 20 years ago, there was much more individual characters.
Yeah, there absolutely was, and that's something that's just missing. I mean, a lot of fans will gripe about that kind of stuff online and things like that. However, it seems like with wrestling, and most fans really, no matter how bad it sometimes gets, we sometimes still find a way to tune in somehow.
Well, that's good. It would be very bad if you don't, then the business goes down.
Absolutely. It's just interesting how, the more people kind of complain about something, you still tune in to watch.
I know. I mean, you never satisfy everybody, that's true. It was just my opinion that it was more fun to look like characters a little bit more, like superhero characters, like Undertaker, Nasty Boys, Road Warriors, Kamala, and all kind of, you had those gimmicks, and then you had also like wrestlers, and the mix is that what makes it interesting, I think.
Certainly do agree. I want to ask you just two more questions, kind of getting back to the word association here, but I want to kind of get more of your opinion on it here. One of the things that seems to be lacking from a lot of wrestling today, especially on the indie scene, is wrestling psychology. Do you agree with that, and do you feel that that's something that not only plagues here in the States, but also some other areas outside the U.S.?
Well, I can't speak for the indie scene in the U.S. because I don't get to see any matches there. But in Germany, I can speak for it. There's a lot of ring psychology missing. Yes, that's true. Because, everybody can give training, and, the kids, they go after 4 weeks of training, they have their first match, and of course it's shitty, I trained my whole life. From the beginning, I was 3 years old when I started training, and with 16 I had my first professional match. And my students, they train like at least 1 year till about 3 years before they have their first match in front of a crowd, like a paid crowd, I mean, they have a lot of training matches, and they have training matches in front of their family and friends, but it's not for the open public. It's just for certain people then to get experience. But then every of my students, they only get in the ring and they get the chance when they're when they're finished with their training.
Gotcha. Yeah, I just want to get your perspective on that there. And it's been a great interview, Alex. Again, we thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here. And great stuff, man. Great stuff for not only our fans, but especially fans of yours to get this opportunity to hear from you. And, of course, once the show is over, we will definitely plug it on all of our websites as well as yours as well, so that anyone who may have missed the interview can check out the archive, as it will be available for everyone to listen to on our website there at blogtalkradio.com/doyourjob. It's been a great interview, man. Again, we thank you so much for being here with us, and we'd love to do it again sometime in the future, man. If you're ever up for coming back on and saying hello to your fans here in the U.S., man, we're always available for you, man. Again, thanks so much for being with us.
Great.
And
great. I thank you. Achtung! Here's Alex Wright.
Alex, would you mind doing a drop for the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour before we wrap up here?
Oh, my God, I was worried about that. I tried my best.
I know how to put you on the spot, but whenever you're ready, man, we'd love to hear a great drop from you for the show that we can play on future shows.
Achtung, here's Alex Wright, and you're listening to Do Your Job Wrestling Hour, and you better listen very closely, or I come back to the States and kick everybody's ass.
That was great, Alex. Well, hopefully, we see you back in the States at some point, man, because, you still are a huge fan favorite here in the U.S., man, and, very, very best of luck to you with New European Championship Wrestling and the Right Stuff Wrestling School. And take care, man, and thanks so much.
Thank you. Keep doing the good work. Thank you very much.
All right, that was Alex Wright live right here on the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Blog Talk Radio. Very solid show, Old School, man. I'm so glad we're able to get Alex on the show. Probably one of the most informative shows we've had in quite a while.
Yeah, I'm really glad we were able to reschedule. We were both a little bit disappointed when, unfortunately, Alex had an injury and had to reschedule. But it was definitely worth the wait. It was very candid. He spoke very openly about the end of WCW and kind of his thoughts on where things stood at that point. And it was great to have him on. I'd love to have him back because I could certainly fill up several more hours picking his brain.
Oh, absolutely. Great interview, though. Great interview. Lots of really cool stuff. A lot of facts that he shared with everyone here that may not have been aware of before, and especially for Alex, who hasn't really spoken to a lot of U.S. fans in an interview format in quite some time. This is quite the treat for everybody, and very looking forward to posting the archive for everybody to check out, as it is Super Bowl Sunday, so a little tough for some people to maybe check out the show, but don't worry, we have the archive. They'll be available soon. And don't forget, next week we're going to be live with the marquee Bruce Santee, and then February 26th, Russian Roulette with the Red Devil Fight Team, and of course, another huge show, March 4th, Buggy Nova will be on the show, female worker on the West Coast. Just recently had a tryout match with the WWE, so we're excited to have her on as she is making a hot buzz on the internet. Also, we got some other great stuff in the works, too, so keep up with the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour on Twitter as well as on Facebook, Do Your Job Wrestling Hour. We are always online for you, so don't miss it. Big thanks again to Alex Wright. Thanks again for coming on the show with us this afternoon. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next week with the marquee Bruce Santee. Good day, everybody.
Welcome to the Do Your Job Wrestling Hour with your host, the ConKaiserdor.